Hey guys, just wanted to post a Quodd Heroes update here, as there's a sort of a bunch of stuff I want to cover. First is, I just want to say I hope that all of you guys are well out there. I know this COVID-19 thing that we're all in the middle of has been really hard for basically everybody, and myself included. So I hope that you guys are coping well. I hope you guys are managing to get outside. Chat with your friends on video chat, and take advantage of all the fun online board gaming tools like Tabletopia, Tabletop Simulator, Board Game Arena, all of that stuff. Ways for us to sort of keep our social lives intact as much as possible. So anyway, I hope that you guys are well. So that aside, yeah, there's a bunch of Quodd Hero stuff I wanted to share. The first is I've just created a survey that I'm calling the Quodd Heroes Player Survey. The idea is to sort of gather some information about how you guys have enjoyed Quodd Heroes or not enjoyed, and what your experience has been like learning game, and what scenarios you like, what you don't, as well as some other questions. So the survey link is below, and I just wanted to let you guys know that everybody who completes the survey and adds their email address will have a chance to win an all-in pledge for our next Kickstarter project, whatever that is. Yeah, just as an incentive. So hopefully you guys take a couple of minutes out of your time to sort of help me make sure that the things that we're doing going forward are being done with you guys in mind. And I'm committed to everybody who plays the game, and I want more people to play it and make playing it easier and more fun and faster setup and all of that stuff. So if you can take a few minutes out of your time to sort of do that, that would be very much appreciated. So one of the reasons I'm doing that is that we are working on a second edition for Quodd Heroes. Few motivating factors. One is I want to do a retail edition of Quodd Heroes, and in order to make this game sort of retail friendly, it has to be smaller. It has to be easier to your first play, to make sure that people are understanding the rules, and that setup isn't super complicated and all of that. So I think one of the issues with the Kickstarter edition box is A, there's no organizer. B, there's just so many components, many of which players will probably never use, depending on which scenarios they're playing. So we're working on a retail edition that is a much smaller game physically, but maintains a sort of core experience of what it is to play Quodd Heroes, just with a lot fewer components. And improved rule set that sort of streamlines some things that are sort of a little bit clunky or whatever, and of course taking out some components that aren't necessary in a sort of smaller box. So that Kickstarter, we're hoping, I'm hoping, will launch sometime before before we're in the middle of summer. I'm thinking late June maybe. Got quite a few things to work out in that regard. But for existing Kickstarter backers, there will be, so we're going to do a retail part of that, which may or may not be available as part of the Kickstarter. We're working with some, so we're in discussions with some publishing partners, sort of wider distribution, multilingual, all of that stuff. As part of that, we're also going to be reprinting the sort of big box Quodd Heroes, which will include, I'm hoping, an insert, sort of any of the revisions and fixes from the first game, improved rule set, and some additional add-ons that you'll be able to tap into. So if you already have the existing game, you'll be able to get just sort of the updated components for a much lower price, as well as a few add-ons that we're working on. I don't have specific details on what those are yet, but we're thinking about doing some sort of bling add-ons for additional components. One of the other big things, probably the biggest new thing with an updated edition, is that we're really leaning hard toward factory painted minis. We've seen some really great examples in games like Cerebria and Mechs vs. Minions, We didn't do it in the first game because of the scale. We didn't know how, or I didn't know how big the Kickstarter would be, and the additional cost is pretty significant from a manufacturing standpoint, but it sort of goes down on a scale like all components with how many you produce. So I've reached out to Panda, and hopefully we'll start discussions with them soon as to what the possibilities are for that. For the retail edition, we're talking either a 2 or 4 player box, maybe a couple of 2 player boxes that are combinable to make a bigger game. So as part of that, we'll be producing a bunch, and we're already working on. So I'm going to share some of those early with you guys to do some testing, some 2 player scenarios. So one of the things that some people have said to me is that there aren't a lot of scenarios, in fact, there are none really, certain player versus player scenarios that are specifically made and tailored toward 2 players. And I think often many of us don't get to play with large groups all the time. Some of us like solo, and you can play some of the, or all of the solo, most of the solo scenarios anyway, cooperatively. But so we're trying to find ways to make 2 players really the focus for some of the new content, particularly for the retail stuff. So we'll have a bunch of scenarios to share with you guys in the coming weeks. That will be on quoddheroes.com and through various social media outlets, that kind of thing. But I'll let you guys know when there's something to share. So yeah, 2nd edition. So that's all of the 2nd edition stuff. So along with that, we're also producing a premium insert, which is already complete from a design standpoint. And I have a good friend of mine, Frank Carr, who's a amazing designer and builder of things, has helped me with producing an official Wonderment Games Quodd Heroes insert, which has lots of great components. I'm going to share some photos down below of those components, but here's one example of the sort of secret token tray, which will make sort of setting up and finding the secrets that are used in a particular scenario much easier. There's no holes in the bottom of these, but it is not difficult to remove these from their spot, and each spot is labeled that says Q. Should have probably picked one that's a little bigger, but it's, say bombs, whatever. So it helps you get them back in where they belong and keep things organized and set up a lot faster. But there's all kinds of stuff. There's 2 of these stackable scenario-based token trays, things like switches and pits and rally tokens and all of those other bits that are used reasonably frequently, but not in every game. We have a couple of trays for those. And the used in every game tokens have their own little tray, which is again labeled. Teleporters, springs, tunnels, etc. Very easy to get them out. There's another same tray. Sorry, got a few things in the way. For Fringe Underground. So if you have the Fringe Underground expansion, all of the tokens for that will fit in here. We've got 3 of these long stacking trays, which can be stacked in any order, which hold the bombs. So these are also labeled. Bombs, crystals, and sheep miniatures. So that's in there. So let's set that aside. There's also a dice tower, which Frank managed to fit in the box, which is actually quite a satisfying little guy. Makes a nice sound when you drop the dice and the bombs in. And that fits nicely in the insert. So everything fits perfectly in the box. It's actually quite easy to take things out and that kind of thing. So we have a little tray that holds the reference cards and buddy cards. 2 separate boxes for the decks, which fit premium sleeve cards. There's dividers, so it keeps the Overlord deck separate from the main deck. And then we have world events in this one. Mine are actually downstairs where I've been using them for testing some stuff. And the sort of extra cards that are used only occasionally. There's also a setup box, which has a few things. You can use it to store various bits, but we've got the first player marker, the randomizer, character tokens, the compass, and the square tiles here. And in the bottom, we've got dice. So you don't have to keep your dice in these if you don't want to. If you want to use the cloth bags that you've got, that's fine. And then there are character holders, one holder per character. These are not the ones that belong in here. There are some pictures of the actual ones in the update below. But this is one of the ones from a backer-made insert. But ours are a little better than this. They fit the characters easy to fit the characters well. They keep the upgrade tiles and the skill tiles sort of separate, and with a little divider, and holds the little character token as well for rally tracking and that kind of thing. So yeah, they're similar in size to this, but a slightly different design, and they're labeled for each character. Very easy to take in and out of the box. So there are 12 of those. So there's 12 because it fits. So one of them is going to be empty at this point, but you can potentially use it to add a future character. Yeah, so that's the insert. And all of the other components, which are the game boards, the rulebook, and the moving platform stuff. Moving platform bits, you just stick in a Ziploc bag and place on top, and the rulebooks and everything fit. Box closes nicely. It's really beautiful. So we're also working on, as part of that, for the second edition Kickstarter. So the insert will be available as part of that Kickstarter as an add-on. I don't have the exact pricing yet, but we're looking into sort of manufacturing, sort of to mass produce them to reduce the cost. But expect it to be around the same price as you'd pay for a premium insert from the Broken Token or Equal Realty, one of those guys. And it's really well designed and quite nice, in my opinion. And I have pretty high standards for the Quodd Heroes stuff. So there may be a few tweaks that happen before we actually produce this thing, but I really like it, and it's makes setting up and managing a game so much better. So there will likely be a plastic like a game tray style insert in the next edition of the game, but this is a much sort of more premium version of that for those who are interested in that sort of thing. It's also going to be available much sooner than the manufactured game. So we're also doing, as part of this, like a super deluxe wooden box as well. So if you really want to bling out your game beyond just the insert, we're also going to have like a handcrafted wooden box which fits the insert and has a few extra organizational items to make your life easier. Of course, that will be a more expensive option. We're not going to mass produce that. That's going to be handmade. But yeah, it's going to be pretty nice. And hopefully, Frank is working on that now. We've been sort of going back and forth in terms of the kind of features it needs to have, and how it'll work. And so it'll still fit on a shelf and be able to stand on its edge or sit flat, whatever you like. So that's, hopefully we'll have something to share with that very soon. So outside of that, we still have painted minis I'm still working on for you guys that were premium backers, and one person won a set at our big tournament in Gen Con. So anyway, those are still in progress. I've had to shift my emphasis significantly toward client-based work just to make sure that I can, feed my kids and have a place to live right now. So unfortunately, the mini painting had to take a bit of a backseat, but we're pretty far along. I say I'm pretty far along with them. All of them are in some state of completion. Most, sort of 5 or 6 of the characters are fully completed, all of them, and the rest are in some state of finish. Most of them are at least 50% complete. So I'm doing them one at a time, step by step, and just sort of, I paint like one little piece on one, I pick up the next one, do the next one, that kind of thing. So I'm trying to be as efficient as possible with painting. Those will, I promise, be delivered to you guys prior to the launch of the second edition Kickstarter. One other thing is that we're working on, I say we, so Rustin Hawkinson, who's been assisting me with a few things, and he's got a few games. He's working on sort of 4 Wonderment games, future titles, but he also came up with an idea for a giant quad game, which is looks incredibly fun. He started some initial play testing, and we're discussing how that all works. But really, it's his brainchild. But the idea was that we have something that we can really get attention with at conventions. So we're talking about up on the shelf behind me, you can see some giant quads. This game will use quads of that scale, almost exactly the same size as those, only they'll be sort of foam cubes, so heavy weight sort of things that you can lean or sit on. And you'll play it outside, unless you have a lot of space inside, and just running around doing real-time sort of Quodd Heroes stuff, either cooperatively or player versus player teams, that kind of thing. Rustin's got quite a few scenarios worked up, and it looks like it's going to be ridiculously fun. We are researching materials and stuff for making like an actual retail product for this thing, or Kickstarter, whichever. I mean, probably it'll happen on Kickstarter first. The concerns are just size and shipping and that kind of thing, because this is, if we're having 4 characters, they're gonna be big. So if it's foam, we have to find a way if they can be compressed and all of that, but to make it sort of practical product. But certainly at conventions, it's gonna be a blast. And I'm hoping, if Essen actually happens this year, I'm thinking that Gen Con is probably going to be canceled, unfortunately. Yeah, we'll probably have a demoable copy at Essen this year if Essen goes forward, and that's going to be a ton of fun. So if you're around, check it out, and I'll be sharing some updates as to the progress on that, I'm sure. So, but it does look like a lot of fun. Just got to figure out a way to make it into a sellable product, and that's about all I've got for now. So if you want to, please take a look at that survey that's in the link below, and also the pictures of the insert. I'm hoping you guys are excited about that. It will be available also after the Kickstarter on our on wondermentgames.com, the web store. And also look for, if you wanted to share Quodd Heroes with other people, we're going to be doing a sale very soon to try to move out the remaining copies we have of Quodd Heroes sitting in the States and in Europe. We're almost already sold out in Europe. I think we have less than 200 total copies split between English and German. We're running quite low on the DICE add-on, and there's some underground expansion. There's quite a bit of that left, like a few hundred copies, I think. We've got some in the States as well. So we're going to reduce the price on that just a little bit to try to move some. And so yeah, look for some information on that soon if you wanted to share it with other people. It will be available. What else? That's it. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you got any questions, whatever, I'm reachable via social media, comment in the comments, or email at support@wondermentgames.com. Happy to hear from you. And yeah, thanks for watching. Sorry, this has been a bit long. If you've watched all the way to the end, congratulations and thank you. And stay safe, guys. I'll have some new stuff for you soon. Thanks. Bye.